Hey everyone, this is Flash Shelton, your squatter hunter, and this is Squatter Talk Live with Flash. I have a guest today that had a horrific experience, not only with a career non paying tenant, but she actually trying to reclaim her home ended up in the slammer. So, her experience, obviously, no one wants to end up behind bars. It happened to her, and she is here to tell us her story firsthand because it's always better coming from the victim themselves instead of hearsay from me. So I'm going to invite her on right now. Here she is. Let's bring her to the stage. Uh, the heck is okay. Hey, how you doing? Welcome. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Oh, hello. We went dark there. Um, so hopefully I've got a black screen here. Oh, I think it's trying to come back on. So yeah, I mean, anytime I hear a story like this where,
Okay,
you
there.
know,
I'm
okay,
here. Yeah.
all right, there you go. Welcome. So, like I said, everyone, or I was about to say,
hmm
whenever I hear a story where the homeowner gets arrested and not the non-paying tenant or squatter, it's
hmm
it's just horrible. And there's so many people out there that think it can't happen to them.
hmm
And you didn't do anything wrong. That's the thing. You did absolutely nothing wrong. And I'm going to stop talking here and I'm going to let you tell your story. Okay. So
Sure.
tell us about your situation. As much detail as you want. How did it
Yeah.
start?
Sure. So initially I had a couple that was renting from me. Um, they had some situations in the past that had happened that were sealed. Um, that I was not aware about in reference to like payment history. And so I had, a lot of grace for a family, of eight actually, for my single family home. And, I mentioned grace because, in business and as landlords, this was the first time that I took a long term rental. Um, I typically do Airbnb and, and I guess just there's basically a time came where they did not pay, and I waited. I'll say, okay, I'll work with you, and then just nothing was happening. And before I knew it, I had a $4,000 water bill. The utilities were in my name. Um, and they stopped paying the utilities as well. And so I was $4,000 up on water, gas, electricity, the same thing, kept accumulating. And then, finally I served an eviction notice, and um, I couldn't believe, how stringent the California laws were, where um, basically I was asked to pay $60,000 for this couple to move out, and I didn't. I just thought, oh, you file an eviction, 30 days, it's over. um I'm from
Who
Georgia.
who asked you to pay $60,000?
Yeah, so there was a law firm, a tenants rights law firm that was representing um that ordinarily known for extorting landlords for unfounded claims that they coach the tenant on to call code enforcement, um, call housing development. Oh, is this wrong? Like just listing out ideas, and then the tenant finds these avenues. What I learned, but didn't understand at the time, being in that, just being restricted and
And we
trying to.
can mention that law firm because I plan on going after them and exposing them as well.
Okay, yeah. So the law firm name is Basta. And likewise, I had to understand, and I used another firm called Fast Eviction, which I don't recommend at all in terms of Just want to put that out there. The notices were filed wrong.
It's like in and out. You're not really in and out. In and out made it sound like you're going in, you get your burger, and you're out. And
Yeah,
in and
and
out is like a long line, right?
yeah, so I was basically like $16,000, like in appearance fees. Basta would
If you can
oh,
hear
sorry
me,
guys.
oh, there
Yeah.
you go. You're back.
Am
Okay.
I back? Okay.
Yeah, you're
So
back.
fast eviction was supposed to be, quickly. That's why I chose them. But it's almost like they eat lunch together, and it's like basically what I hear is that they eat lunch together. How much can you get from the landlord? And this is what the law firm gets most of the money, to my understanding, and then the tenant gets the time. So they say, okay, we want $60 from you, $60,000 from you. There was a typo in the lease, and this person is supposed to be there for 16 years because you missed the word month on the vacation rental agreement. So they've paid for 16 years. They're supposed to pay $3,900 for 12 months instead of per month because you missed the word month. And I said, this can't be real. And then they say, oh, we'll pay us $60,000, waive 6 months of arrearages, and give 3 more months of free rent. And I was like, how is this real? You know.
Yeah.
So that's Basta. They continue. Next thing you know, I was in court. I had 4 appearances driving, 4 hours down to the courthouse, 4 appearances. And, you know, every time that attorney appears, he gets money. My attorney gets, they have to pay. But their tactic is delay, 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 delay to the point where you just kind of want to give up and just pay the tenant to move out. And
Yeah.
they're looking,
They break you down. And this
yeah.
is a common thing I'm hearing about. And this tenants rights scam, is something that keeps coming up. And I think that people need to hear about them.
Mhm.
And they are bending the law in the tenant's favor. And then, like you said, it's almost like they're just going to lunch and kind of figuring out, okay, how can we settle this?
Mhm.
And they're not, and it's hard for the landlord's attorneys to fight something like that because there are so many tactics that they can do to delay the process. And so tell me more.
Yeah. So essentially, so now I'm like 9 months down the road, and I'm like, we had a jury trial, and then again $16,000. Now I've got a litigation, a different console. I let the fast eviction company go. Obviously, they made errors, and then the new attorney says, Alva, this case is going to get dismissed because fast eviction left off unit A, and basically you're gonna have to start all over again. Requested. Um, so basically the eviction didn't even go anywhere. They were still living in the house. One of the tenants moved out. They separated. So then now one of the partners were still in there. Um, and so she was really the one that was giving me the toughest time. I ran into her her fiance in the courthouse that day, and I said, hey, I was behind him in the line going to file for more damages, and small claims. And then I said, hey, I said, you know please tell me that, all of these, you know calling code enforcement that you have bed bugs, calling the city saying you have a flood in the bathroom. I spent so much money into getting all of these professionals out there, and you kept calling the city, and every time they went out there, everything was perfect. They were just wipes in the stuff down the toilet. Everything was forced stop. And she says, he says, Alva, at first, I was in a survival mode, and I um I didn't know what to do, but things had gone too far. Um, and my my ex partner at the time, she had us go get this attorney, and they the attorney came to me saying, okay, you've got mold in the house, it's uninhabitable. They sent these pictures, different angles and things like that, and they said give our clients $20,000. This was while eviction was still going on, and they tried to again extort me and get money out of me at that time. They said $20,000, 6 months to move out, and I said no. Here are all the tests. There's no mold. Every time code enforcement called me, I sent professionals out there. There's nothing there. And I said, I will sue everyone, for defamation, calling the city and so forth. And this is fraud. And I asked them to leave me alone. I said, you guys are harassing me at this point, and it's fraud. And please let your clients know that, these tenants, because it's fraud. And so the attorney disappeared. And in that same experience at the courthouse, running into the ex-tenant, he agreed, I will come up with a payment plan for what I owe. I'm sorry that I did this to you, but my ex-partner has gone too far. She's still pushing it. Everything, she was fake, and she had someone coaching her. The attorney was coaching her what to do, and I just wanted out of it. And he's like, I'm not represented by that attorney Basta anymore. And
Was her information fake? Like any, like
com-
the information she provided to where it leads you to believe that she's a career bad tenant?
yeah, professional tenant. I sought another attorney's office to help, to refile the eviction. And I was told that she had been evicted before, but the record was sealed. Um, there was other, basically cases. They spoke to other colleagues, in the
Yeah.
area where the property is, and they said that she's a professional tenant. And I was like, I've never heard of that before. And
Yeah.
she said, this is
One of
just
the
what she does.
Yeah, one of the things that I'm excited about, and I'm hoping that once I get the NSTR registry out, is that I hear so much about people finding out, like, okay, not being able to access certain records like evictions,
Mhm.
because
Yeah.
there's a time frame. And some of these cities and some of these states have actually gone in, like Oregon went in and knocked out like 30 something thousand records and wanted to just, it was like a start fresh whole thing to where all tenants that have been evicted can start fresh now. And so
Wow.
landlords aren't given that information, where my registry, because it's not government controlled,
Okay.
I have a little more leeway to be able to have you be able to see that information. So I am excited about that. So you eventually reached out to me and asked me to intervene, and
Yeah.
I was going to do an intervention with her. And then before I actually intervened with her, you decided to do some drastic measures. So tell us about that.
Yeah. So the information that I had received from the ex-partner of um, this tenant that was scamming me, they split up. One of them's trying to do the right thing. And he gave me some information. He said, hey, she got a new place. um she shouldn't even be there still holding your house hostage. She's still, trying to, thinking that she's going to get some reward from you. But she's already gotten her place. Like she moved out. She has a place because they share a child together. So he knows all of this information. So I knew it was solid. There was, nothing, he had already, confessed and was turning over to do the right thing, which I could appreciate. And so I said, well, it seems like she's going to abandon her tenancy. He said, yeah, that's exactly what she's doing. She's not going to give you any notice, but she's taking her time, um, thinking she still has to go through an eviction. And she's hoping that she's going to get a reward from you. And so with that information, I checked all the four corners around the house, and I asked the neighbors, I said, have you seen the tenant there around the property? And they said, nope, I haven't seen her. It's been pitch black at night. There can't be, possibly anyone there. We haven't seen her. We haven't seen the kids. No one. We haven't seen anyone. So I did some digging, and there's a California law called Notice of Belief of Abandonment. And I think that form is like 543, and then it's like 542 and 543, so forth. So I did some digging, and it basically says that if you have belief that the tenant um is going to forfeit their tenancy, they're not communicating, they've already moved out, there's no signs of living there, then you could serve a notice of belief on the door. You also have to send it through certified mail, to the address itself, or any other sources that you believe that they could possibly receive this notice. So with the neighbor's assistance, their confirmation, I posted the notices. Still nothing, no, she hadn't reached out or anything. And then just like a day before this, you have 15 days if you do like a process server, and then 18 days if you don't, if you do it by certified mail, first class mail, certified mail. So then about a little over 24 hours before, um I believe it may have been 48 hours, I posted the notice of entry to a dwelling to see if anybody will respond, to then go and check to see if there are any signs of living and so forth there. When we did the notice, when we entered, the mail was stacked high on the front porch. No one was getting the mail. The mailbox was overstuffed. There's actually two mailboxes. They both had signs that nobody, was there. Um, just like I said, a foot high of mail outside on the porch. And then inside, this is where it really hurt. My house was completely like shackled, just torn. I mean, I was like top five like Airbnb in the area for cleanliness, for 5-star Superhost, prior to doing long-term rentals. And um I mean, the walls were brown. Like they weren't white anymore. They were brown. The vanity was inside of the bathroom vanity was inside of the tub. All of the plumbing fixtures were broken. There were slices and chops. Like my whole kitchen counter was diced. There were maggots in pots. There were no signs. I mean, the water was off, obviously, because the tenant, we went through a judgment. She didn't pay it, so the utilities were. She didn't want to assume the utilities, so the water had been turned off, because she, decided not to cooperate before a judge, um, to assume responsibility of the water and the gas. Um, there was fecal, like, you just have to throw the whole toilet away. It was so bad. My fountains outside, they were urinating in the water fountains, like the rock fountain outside, and there was stuff with tissue. She made that her bathroom. um and like I said, expired food, you know there were maggots in the toilets, in the refrigerator, the sink. There were nets. It was just, the signs were there, period. um she did have personal things there scattered around. She was packing up. It appeared that she was packing up at some time. There were donation bags that had handwritten donation. It was just in a disarray. And then from there, I had my confirmation that it was abandoned. Nobody had been there. So I posted just one. Hmm?
So what did you do?
Yeah, so I posted the final notice. Um, and then, what is it called? The I got the process server to come back. So I had a licensed process server just to know that it's actually official that these notices are appearing on the door. Um, So the next day, shortly after the processor leaves, she shows up. Now I changed the locks because I can, and I waited even a few days later after this expiration to change the locks. Didn't have to, but I still did. Everything was removed from the house. She was locked out. She appeared to the property, and I wanted to stay away. I should have stayed away. I think there was just so much, you know. I mean, when I seen the state of my place, um, it's almost like I just still felt like I belonged there on my property
And
to,
weren't you going to meet the alarm company? Were you going
um,
to meet the alarm
yes,
company
and
when
I
you went
didn't,
back?
yeah, I didn't get a chance to get that day, the alarm company was coming. They did not get to do the installation, due to the time of the appointments and the time that she showed up. And so basically she showed up. I didn't have the place secured with the alarm yet.
Were
And
you there when she showed up?
I was not there. A neighbor called
Okay.
and they said, hey, she's breaking in. I have a back house. She had broken into the back house. And they said, hey, she's gone into the back house. I don't know how she got in. We locked everything. We secured it. And then she had another, which we maybe believe it, maybe, father, but an older gentleman was with her, um, fatherly like, and he had a device, a tool. And my neighbor said, hey, they're breaking in. And he says they've gone into some window and now they're coming out of the side of the house. He could see it in plain sight. And obviously we've locked everything, secured it. And then, and then, I said, okay, I'm going to come back. I just came from the storage facility. They were putting up the rest of her items there. And I said, okay, I'm going to come back so I can talk to the police. So when I got there, she was already on the phone with the police and we hadn't called the police yet. We just first wanted to come. I wanted to come and see, okay, is this still happening? I'll call the police. If she's gone, fine, she's gone. But she was on the phone with the police. And this is when everything went left. So she alleged that she still lived there. She alleged that I had a weapon and that she was being assaulted and that she had rights that she had tenancy rights. And the police, I left. She said, well, I want to get my things. She won't let me get her things. She was yelling to the police over the phone. And I just was like, okay, I'm going to wait till the police get here. I went to my car. And the neighbors were kind of, people were outside at that point because she was yelling and screaming and got the neighbors' attention. And when the police got there, I, I said, hey, officer, um, I'm, the owner, the owner. And let me know if you have any questions. But she's welcome to get her things. That for sure. But she is now on private property and she does not have possession of the home. So she's on private property. I would like her to leave. And then the police walks over to me and they said, can you turn around? And I said, yeah, I'll turn around. And I guess, okay, they're just doing a safety protocol, just checking things out. And next thing you know, she said, put your left arm behind your back, put your left arm. She swiped me and she put me in her vehicle. The police officer put me in the back seat of the car. They left the door open and I said, officer, I said, why am I in handcuffs right now? And I said, this is my home. And she's broken into my home. I says, please let me understand. I was like, I don't have a criminal background. I have never been arrested. I don't understand what's going on right now. Why are you arresting me? And I had a friend there with me actually that witnessed everything. So the locksmith was there.
Your volume is messing up.
What'd you say? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Did
Okay,
you have a
there you are.
question?
No. I just couldn't. You cut out. We couldn't hear you.
Okay. Is it clear now?
Yes.
Okay. So I was just in a disbelief, and was telling the officer, this is civil, you know, why are you arresting me? And she says, well, she says that you have a weapon. And I said, I don't have a weapon. And they kept me, in cuffs, and they read me rights, and they said, well, where's your vehicle? I said, my vehicle's right there. And they said, well, she described, something. So, we're going to check your car, check your bag. And I'm like, okay, let's check it. And I just kept saying, like, hey, this is civil. There's not any violence here. There's nothing going on. We were not in close proximity or anything like that. There's cameras around here. And so, you know, I went to jail for 3 days, basically. I was in,
How did the
the city
officer
jail.
justify? How
Hmm?
did the officer justify arresting you for 3 days without finding a weapon?
That's today. I don't know the law, but from what I'm understanding, it's a wrongful arrest. It's hearsay, and the worst thing is that I didn't understand I didn't understand. I just know that I wanted to get home to my daughter, to my family, and so I got an attorney that cost me $4,000. They impounded my car in front of my own home that I own. Impounded my car that was perfectly parked in a safe area. Shouldn't have towed the car. They called it. They said that they were towing in for crime investigation, and I said I'm just still not understanding. So, my attorney is, looking at justice in reference to hearsay arrest. Um, there are no charges. The prosecutor rejected the everything. I didn't have to go to court. There's nothing I had to
The
appear to.
experience is still real.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, and I do teach part time. I have a credential as an art teacher, and so the following week, I'm home traumatized. I mean, no water for 15 hours. It was just devastating going back home. I lost 5 pounds in 48 hours. Um, and then I don't know what this tenant said, but they put me in like a mental area in the county, jail.
Hmm.
And so I was in this cell for like 15 hours, no calls, no water, nothing. They just I mean, even if you're a criminal or not, it is just so not humane the way that they treated humans, and um, so I mean, now I'm like $20,000 in dealing with her. She's filed a restraining order for something that was rejected with the prosecutor, and it's just like never ending with this person. I mean, I've in all of my 15 years, I've never had any issues with tenants, but I finally have. I know what to steer away from in terms of long term or short term, things, but yeah, it was so I was able to get her out with abandonment, belief of abandonment, and she's got 18. They have 18 days to get their things from storage. If they claim it, they have to pay the storage fees, the relocation fees to get it there, any transportation fees. So that was about $1,300 that it cost me to move out the rest of their stuff out of the house, secure storage, transportation, then me getting there, you know.
Yeah.
So
This is just disturbing on so many levels. Not, I mean, it's horrible that you went through this, but what I keep going through in my head is, I hear these stories, but then when you hear something like somebody being arrested because of an accusation with no proof
yeah.
and spending 3 days in jail and turning their life upside down, and then all the cost involved and everything else. I mean, there is no one that is safe from this. I think you froze there. I think, oh, coming back.
Okay.
Okay, there you are.
Am I back?
Yeah, you're
Okay.
back. Yeah, no one is safe from this. This could happen to anyone, and You know what? This is why I do not do anything without a body cam going, because if somebody lies and says something, I want to be able to be like, look, here is the video proof,
Mhm.
But so I always ask this question from beginning to end, from the issue to her being out, and you still have a situation going on because she filed the restraining order. So your fees are not done with. But what would you estimate this
Yeah.
whole experience has cost you?
Yeah. So I'm at $20,000 now, getting out of jail and the eviction prior. Now I've temporarily lost my art teaching credential, so that cost me another $2,000
Is that
to
because of the
retain
restraining order?
counsel. Yeah, she's filed. Yeah, she's alleging, right? So for something that was already, dropped by law enforcement, she's still pushing on this, alleged report
It,
that she made.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's a
So
TRO,
it's
which should get dropped as soon as you get your day in court.
okay. So, I don't know. I just know that I'm an educator. I can't risk these types of things, and so I had to invest the money in legal counsel, um, to assure that I can get these things off of my record. So, in all, now having to go back to law enforcement, ask them to destroy records, for the wrongful arrest. Um, and not be, have a finger. Now I have a fingerprint in the Department of Justice that flags, to say, oh, you have an educator here. This is, here's a red flag. This is what, there's a charge here. And it was embarrassing because I'm going back to, the director of credentialing saying, how do I sit here and explain this, like, repeat that? I mean, like, I'm still, it's
Something
still
that's
very recent. So
unbelievable.
yeah. And my colleagues were looking, the director of credentialing is just like, I just really can't believe this, Alva, like,
Yeah,
she's like, I have to treat everyone the same and we have to address it, but we didn't really know how to just look at this because we see who you are, and it's just something like very serious, that to
yeah.
address. So, but so after I spend all the, get finished with this, I'm gonna be at about $25,000.
But that's not counting the eviction. Is that counting
Um,
what you spent with the eviction attorneys and
yeah,
like?
yeah, yeah.
Oh, it
That's
is.
everything.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
25,000
Okay.
dealing with post stuff.
Wow.
I was able to get a judgment for the property damages and the utilities prior, and
Okay.
then now, and I got a judgment for like $9,600, and one of the tenants started making payments, but the other one, who's the one that's causing a nightmare in my life,
Yeah.
I've got to push a little bit more, in the courts to get that, paid. And then
Yeah.
I have, you know another follow up for the damages. Now that she's actually out, it's even more different. And like, she busted out a window, that's $1,500. When she broke in that day. So
Wow.
yeah, overall in attorney's fees, and then lost rent for 9 months, and then I had to throw all of the furniture out in my house. It was no good.
Yeah.
Um, we were probably about $15,000 in property damages,
So now
and
you're
renovations.
now you're at 40,000, and
Yeah, and
then
then
now add all the lost
36,000.
rent.
Yeah, 30. I'm sorry, 50, $36,000 in rent, and $13,000 in utilities.
So
So
now we're at 86, 90. You're at $103,000.
yeah,
I
yep.
mean, it's something like
In
that.
less than 1 year,
Yeah. Yeah.
in
And
approximately 9 months.
I always ask about the money because so many people will go on and comment and talk about how, oh, it's easy and it doesn't cost that much and these people are whatever, and and they want to, everyone thinks that somebody that owns a home is rich. And so I want people to truly understand that this is costing a lot more than money, but financially it's ruining people.
Yeah.
Well, I really appreciate you coming on, and I think that the messages are very important, and people need to know that this stuff is happening. And the fact that you were arrested and had to spend 3 nights in jail and go through that and feel like an animal, and truly being a situation where you did nothing wrong, and you were put in that position because of lies, not even credible lies, and no evidence, is wrong. And I really hope that I'm a big supporter of law enforcement and law, but in situations like this, I really hope that you can get some sort of restitution or something out of what they put you through.
Yeah, thank you. And
But
thank
thank you so much. I'm glad you got your home back. I hope you get it all back to, in your life, everything back to where you can, have some peace and get your job back and everything goes well for you moving forward.
Yeah, I can share, and I don't know, how this will turn out, but there is vandalism coverage for like tenants and squatters. So to an extent, I will have some minor, insurance coverage for the vandalism side of it, but that's something too to make sure, I'd say, like going forward, to have policies set up
Okay.
that could help with these types of things. Yeah.
And since she is a professional at this, would you like to share her name?
Yes. Her name is Stephanie C. Bravo. C as in Charlie, and then Bravo.
All right.
And C stands for Cynthia. So Stephanie Cynthia Bravo, and she appeared as Stephanie C. initial Bravo on her rental application.
All right. And this is Southern California.
Southern California. Can I say the city or no?
Yeah.
Yeah, city. So the city is in Long Beach, and a lot of the attorneys know that name very well in that area over the last 10 years. So it's a real thing, unfortunately.
Yeah, it is. Thank you so much for joining us and sharing your story. I really appreciate it. This is one of my favorite stories. I mean, it's unfortunate, but it is one of my favorite stories that I was looking forward to getting you on to be able to share it. So I really appreciate it. And you have a good evening, and take care of yourself, okay? Keep in touch and let me know that everything is great for you moving forward.
I sure will. All right. Bye-bye.
Okay, bye. Thank you. All right. So, I mean, it was all said. I mean, anyone being arrested for something they didn't do or being accused of something and having to go through that experience is horrible. And, I can only imagine what it feels like. And, just being accused is bad enough, but then to actually have to spend a few nights in jail, and when you're just simply trying to reclaim a home that you truly believe has already been vacated, based on lies and no evidence, that's wrong. This proves that can happen to absolutely anyone. So, as I said in the video, or as I said earlier to her, I always wear a body cam. So I always suggest that whenever you do anything, when you have interaction with a non-paying tenant, a squatter, or any situation that might be uncomfortable, make sure you've got a camera of some sort, and that can be just your cell phone. Turn that camera on and get the evidence to protect yourself from false allegations and no evidence arrests. Okay, so take care of yourself, look out for yourself, and video all interactions. Remember, if you have an intruder, a squatter, a non-paying tenant, a situation in your home that there's unrest in, call law enforcement. Let them do the one job they can do. They need to come out and make sure the situation is safe. But the moment they tell you it's a civil matter and there's nothing they can do, that's when you're going to reach out to me at squatterhunters.com and let's talk about some outside the box options. Take care of yourself. This is Flash with Outside the Box. Take care now. Bye.